Hey Leo, welcome to Black Star Tarot. This is your love reading for July. We're going to get some messages from our beautiful oracle deck, what they don't like. Okay, so we're going to find out what it is that your person doesn't like about the dynamic that you're in. And cross watchers, you get to find out what Leo doesn't like as well. So please remember, Leo, that these messages are interchangeably. If it doesn't resonate, just leave it where it is. If it does, hit the like button. So let's get into your reading. All right. Give me a minute here. All right, Spirit, what is it? What is it? What messages do we have for Leo? What is it that they don't like? We got a flipper, but I also got one. We got a couple flippers here. I'm gonna take the one that came out, guys. You did have a couple flippers in here, but I'm gonna let them be. Okay, we're gonna take the card that came out. So Leo, your person feels that you're judgmental. All right, so let's talk about that. All right, so basically your person is saying that you always, have something to say, Leo. That, I designed this deck, and the meaning that I put behind this card, I mean, it could be many meanings, but one of the meanings that, reads with this card is the fact that, your person doesn't like the fact that you have, something to say, right? That you always seem to have something to say, particularly about them, right? Or about others, or about how things should be, okay? Your person feels like you carry yourself like royalty, right? That's kind of how they're feeling. But sometimes they feel like you sit, on a throne that's above like everyone else, all right? And that your standards are sky high, but your compassion doesn't, really match that. Your person is tired of feeling that they're being constantly evaluated instead of being loved as they are, okay, Leo? That is how your person is feeling, okay? This is where they're getting this just judgmental energy from, and this is what they don't like, okay? They feel like I don't know, it's kind of like they feel like your shadow, can be loud with pride, but also quiet with grace. So I feel like this card, kind of hits, that exact note. Okay, now I'm gonna say this one last time, Leo. These messages are interchangeable. So it's either your person is feeling like you're judgmental, or maybe this is how you feel about them. But they're definitely, all in their feelings. So let's get some clarifiers and see like what's causing, this person to feel like, somebody's judgy much. Okay, let's find out. Let's get some messages. There's somebody talking too much, right? Okay, what else? All right. More messages for Leo. So we're going to get a couple more cards, maybe one. There we go. And I'm just going to meditate on these for a second, and then we're going to see how we're feeling about these cards. We're also going to break them down a little bit, because I do best when I'm able to like break the cards down, and then I can usually form a better message. I'm one of those people got to read out loud, so it's no difference. All right, so we have the Eight of Wands, the Eight of Swords, the King of Pentacles, and the Seven of Pentacles. Let's see what these mean individually and then all together as a message, Leo, with this judgmental card, okay? All right, so let's talk about the Eight of Wands. So I kind of felt the energy in the beginning when your person was saying like, you know what, they're so judgmental, like you have a lot to say. So the Eight of Wands can definitely speak about like a lot of communication, okay? So your person may feel like, you talk a lot. They may feel like, again, like you always have something to say. But the Eight of Wands also represents fast movement, communication, reacting quickly, okay? Energy that kind of moves before thinking, okay? This card can show up or can show someone, who maybe speaks impulsively or always has, like I said, something to say. Maybe somebody who has fast opinions, fast judgments, you know, anything like that. So this is where your person's head is right now. You know, these are the energies that they're getting, you know, from you right now, that, you know, sometimes you could be a little quick with things, maybe a little fast, you know, to judge, things of that nature. Or this is the way you feel about your person, all right, interchangeably. The Eight of Swords, right? This is like, you know, mental traps, overthinking, right? Assumptions, limited perspective, so to speak. This card kind of shows that, you know, someone may be stuck in their own viewpoint, right? Or someone seeing things in black and white and not considering other sides, okay? This could potentially be, you know, how, you know, someone's thinking. Then we have this King of Pentacles, you know, who's very stable, very grounded, very wise, but also materialistic. Okay, let's get it in. Like the King of Pentacles, he got that. He got the bag, right? He has the money. He has the stability. He's holding his own. And he probably really doesn't care about what other people are thinking because he's running his world. Let's just be real. So, again, so, you know, with the King of Pentacles can be materialistic. It can be status driven, opinionated and shallow. Sometimes this may suggest that someone may be judged based on their success, right? Somebody could be judging somebody based on their success, their money, their value, their appearance. So somebody could be being judgy about that. Like, oh, you ain't got enough money, or you don't have a nice car, or you don't have this or that. You better get your own crib first. Like, these are all the things that, you know, kind of comes with the King of Pentacles energy in this reading. The Seven of Pentacles is kind of more about waiting, analyzing, measuring like a particular, you know, situation, or measuring progress. In shadow, I think it can be like overly critical, someone who's always assessing if something is actually worth it, right? Particularly with these two together, right? There could be somebody here who's, you know, particularly worth it. Now, I'm going to form my opinion on this real quick, and then we're going to get right directly back into the reading. So, at one time, quick story, stay with me now. My brother told me that, and I wonder if he remembers this. He was like, oh, you're going to always be single because you too picky and you too judgmental. And so I was like, oh, shit, maybe I am, right? Maybe I should, like, you know, let down my self-worth and value and just go date anybody. Maybe I should do that, right? And that is exactly what I did, right? I went for the underdog, right? You know, there's a fine line between being judgmental and just all out, like, you know, disrespectful. I mean, you should judge things. You should weigh things against, you know, others, or, you know, you should, you know, balance things out on a scale. Is this person worth dating? Is this person worth marrying? Does this person have what I need? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, your person is what, you know, kind of feeling like what they don't like about you, right? The fact that you actually make informed decisions for yourself. Like, they feel like, you know, you doing that is making you judgmental. You know, like you saying that they don't have enough, or maybe you don't have what it is that you need. I find that to be just, you know, just kind of like shallow on their part. And I don't know if shallow is the word I want to use, but do you see what I'm saying here? Like, what they don't like about you is you actually, you know, sit down and think about what it is that you want for your life. You want stability, okay? You know, you want somebody who can have intellectual conversations. Like, instead of they're taking the fact that you want better for yourself as a means to say, you know what, hey Leo, good for you, right? You should want somebody who got their stuff together. Nope, they feel like because you want better, that you're judging. You're judging them. That's what they feel. Well, I don't think we care, you know, about their thoughts when it comes to something like that. Because if you know, most people, I always say you shouldn't be dating unless you have your financial stability together. Like, nobody wants to take care of you. No one wants to carry you around, you know. So it may not be all about you being judgmental, even though this is what they don't like about you. They feel like, you know, they feel a lot of ways, okay? And I can tell you, I just told you what they were, and none of them, you know, were nice, you know, at least from the way that they see it. But let's move on, okay? So judgmental. So what your person basically His saying based off of these cards is that they simply just don't like the way you judge, and they feel like you judge quickly. All right, they don't like the way you judge quickly, and that you hold on tight, you know, to your opinions here. Okay, they feel as though you speak fast but you don't listen. All right, that's how your person, you know, is feeling. I feel like they think that you see things one way, and if someone doesn't match your standards, right, particularly with this King of Pentacles here, he's all about standards. They feel like if someone doesn't match your standards, then you quietly start, you know, calculating whether or not they're worth your energy. That's how this is kind of what your person is feeling. And this is real interesting to me, yo. It's real interesting to me that they have a problem with this. But yes, but this is kind of, you know, how they feel. They feel like, you know, if, you know, that if the person's not matching your energy, then you just, you know, kind of just start calculating, right? Do I need them in my life? No. Okay, gone. They don't like that. Okay, to them, it kind of feels like, you know, you're always weighing on them, like you're grading them and basically deciding on their value instead of just, you know, loving them. Okay, this is how your person is kind of feeling. Whew, Lord. All right. You know, you know, that's you know, it's a lot. Okay. Now, Leo, we must be fair, okay? Let's be fair. Like, you know, in your shadow side, all right, your shadow side, you know, you can sometimes be quick to judge, okay? You can sometimes be slow to forgive and silently counting the ways, you know, that someone may not be measuring up, okay? That is a shadow attribute, you know, of a Leo, okay? But there are times when it's necessary. You know what I'm saying? It's times when it's necessary. But this is how your person's feeling right now, that, you know, you're judging them and they feel like, and they actually feel inside that they're not measuring up, right? They're hurt by the fact that you're judging them, even if your judgments are correct, okay? That maybe, you know, they need to level up, you know, just a little bit more, and they can't hate you, you know, for wanting better, you know, for yourself, particularly if you're doing what you need to do to make sure that you're taking care of you. So in other words, like, you know, ain't nothing wrong if you a millionaire, you know, with you dating, you know, somebody who's not. However, there's also nothing wrong if you were a millionaire wanting another millionaire. You see what I'm saying? So I get it, but your person feels like, you know, you're too judgy and they don't like it. Okay, so just so you know, they may not say it to your face, but behind your back, they're just like, yo, this Leo, like, it's crazy. Like, you know, they always judging and stuff, you know, they always reacting too quick. You know, that's just how they feeling. So let's see what else is contributing to your person's feelings here. I hope y'all can see these cards. I really do. All right, what else can be contributing to this? I'm sorry, let me just get a better grip on the cards, Leo. You know, it's crazy because you got the Ace of Swords on the bottom of the deck. I don't know if I showed you that, but, you know, it's like people don't like truth, right? They want you to just be fake. You know, they don't like when you're honest. So basically, if you told somebody, like, you know what, you need to level up, you know, they'd be like, oh, you arrogant, you're this, you're that, you know what I'm saying? But they don't like truth. And that's unfortunate because I think that you're just being you. You're being transparent. You're being honest with yourself and you're being honest with them. Okay, so whether they like your judgments or not, at least you're being honest. Okay, so let's see what else is contributing to this craziness right here. We have open heart, okay? We have a heart fog, right? You see all the emotions that's hitting the table? Like your person is all in their feelings, okay? All right, what else do we have? We have mistakes, all right? Let's get one more. And then we have loyalty. All right, I don't mean to make this reading sound cold and calculated, but it's no need for me to sit here and be honest. Like, Leo, your energy is always direct and straightforward. So I think I should be direct and straightforward with you. Your person's all in their feelings, bottom line, okay? Whatever it is or whatever you say, whatever you're doing, they're not receiving it, right? Instead of them taking it as constructive criticism or respecting the values and the things that you want for yourselves and the lives of your future family and whatnot, they're taking offense to it. And that's that. Like, you know, and I honestly, like, look at this. It says mixed signals, block emotions, all messed up. Like, you hurt their feelings. Like, this guy is like falling, you know, from your throne. So whoever you're dealing with, whatever it is that you say, the way that you respond, the way that they perceive you, it's like you just drop the, you know, you just be like, look, you're not cutting it. I'm just gonna let you go. I'm gonna just let this fall, you know. And that's kind of, you know, what I'm getting from here. And I think that you are being misunderstood, you know, and that your person, you know, is just kind of feeling like, you know, they're victimized, and not because you're necessarily doing anything to them. You could be being extremely judgy. However, you know, they're misunderstanding why, because you want better, you know, from yourself. You want, you know, more stability. You know, you want somebody that, you know, you can trust, right? We have this loyalty card here. So I feel that if they can't trust nothing else, I would rather deal with somebody who's straightforward and loyal to me. Tell me like it is. Don't be fake behind my back. You know, if someone can say to me, you know what, yeah, I don't want you, you're just not good enough. You know, it may hurt my feelings, but I respect it. You know what I'm saying? I respect it because you're not wasting my time. At least I know, look, we may not be able to be in a relationship, but yo, you know, I appreciate, you know, your frankness. I appreciate the boldness. I appreciate you coming out and saying, you know, what's on your mind. That way there is no mixed signals. That way you're not leading, you know, anybody on here, which typically tends to happen when people stay in relationships that really just aren't meant for them. Like, you want what you want, and that's just that. And if that person isn't able to understand that, then that's just too bad. But I can tell you that, you know, I don't know if you've had a conversation here with somebody, or if this is just them in the background, you know, listening to you, okay? And this doesn't necessarily have to be an intimate relationship. You know, there could be someone in your inner circle, you know, that may feel like you're too judgmental. However, I honestly feel like this is like, you know, somebody that you're dealing with. Like, I don't know, maybe you be like, well, I want diamonds and all kinds of bling, and you don't have that, so therefore, you know, you gotta go. I don't know, you know, but they don't like it. Okay, they don't like it. Yeah, they're not receiving the way you interact very well. They think you're cold, all right, and calculus, and they, you know, they don't understand that your self-worth is everything, right? They know they need to work on their inner child a little bit, okay? They don't understand that, you know, Leo represents beauty, right? Luck, satisfaction, fortune, happiness, hopes, fulfillment, and prosperity. You know, that's the energy that, you know, your sign marinates in. So, you know, you can't help yourself, you know, to some degree. So Leo, like, honestly, this is what I have for you. This was short and sweet. I enjoyed the reading, so your person doesn't like the fact that you're too damn judgy. All right, Leo, so there you go. Good luck with that one. Thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day.